Hey friends, welcome to the YouTube channel all about electronics. So in this video, we will learn about the concept of the electric flux, and then after, we will also understand the concept of the Gauss law. So if you have followed the previous videos on the channel, then we learned about the concept of the Coulomb's law, and we learned the concept of the electric field. And we understood that when we have a free charge, either a positive or the negative charge, then it generates the electric field. And if we want to find this electric field at the specific location, then it can be found using the following expression. So as you can see, it is the vector quantity, and the magnitude of this electric field intensity at the given location is directly proportional to the value of this charge, and it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. That means as we move away from the charge, then the electric field intensity will reduce as per the following expression. So this is the mathematical way of representing the electric field intensity. But if you want to represent this electric field intensity graphically, then it can be represented using the electric field lines. So the intensity of this electric field, or in other words, the magnitude of this electric field, is represented by the spacing between the two lines. That means as the electric field increases, then the spacing between the two lines reduces. And as you can see, they comes closer to each other. So that is the graphical way of representing the electric field. So now, let us understand the concept of the electric flux. So if you see this electric flux, then it shows that how much electric field lines are passing through the area. So if you have some area A and it is placed in some electric field E, then we can say that the electric flux psi that is passing through that area is equal to E dot A. That is the dot product of this electric field and the area vector. So here, for this area, if we see the unit vector an, then that is normal to the area. And further, this expression can be written as this Ea cos theta. So as you can see, the maximum flux will pass through the area when the direction of the electric field is normal to the area. Or in other words, when this electric field E is in the same direction as the an vector. Because in that case, this cos theta will be equal to 1. So if the area is not perpendicular to the electric field lines, then the electric flux that is passing through the area will reduce. And in this case, if you see, then the no flux is passing through the area. That means in this case, this psi is equal to 0. So now in general, for any area if you see, then if you want to find the electric flux, then what we can do? We can take the differential area dA, and we will pass the electric flux that is passing through this differential area. So that can be given as this d psi that is equal to this E dot dA. And now if we integrate it over the entire surface area, then we will get the total electric flux that is passing through the area. So if we see the unit of this electric flux, then that is equal to volt into meter. Because as you know, the unit of this electric field is equal to volt divided by meter. And whenever we multiply it with the unit of the area, that is the meter square, then we will get volt into meter. So that is why the unit of this electric flux is equal to volt into meter. Apart from that, the another unit of this electric flux is equal to Newton meter square divided by Coulomb. So let us see how we can get this. So as you know, this electric field E can be given as force divided by charge. And if you see its unit, then that is equal to Newton divided by Coulomb. So now, if we multiply this electric field with the unit of the area, then we will get this Newton into meter square divided by Coulomb. So in this way, the two units of the electric flux are volt into meter and the Newton meter square divided by Coulomb. So now, so far during our discussion, we have assumed that the source for this electric flux was the point charge. But in general, the source can be anything. So it can be a point charge or it can be a continuous charge, such as the line charge, surface charge or the volume charge. So here, during our discussion, we found the electric flux for the open surface. But similarly, we can also find the electric flux for the closed surface area. And with the help of it, we will derive the expression of the Gauss law. So for that, let's say we have some charge Q And let's say this charge is placed at the center of the sphere and the radius of the sphere is equal to r. So here we want to find the electric flux that is coming out of the surface of this sphere. So in this case, as you can see, the surface of this sphere is the closed surface. So in this case, to find the total flux that is passing through the closed surface area, what we will do? We will take the differential surface area ds on this sphere. That means let's say this area is equal to ds. And for this differential surface area, we will find the flux that is passing through that area. And now, if we integrate it over the entire surface area, then we will get the total flux that is passing through the closed surface area. So now in this case, if you see, then at any point in the sphere, these electric field lines are normal to the surface of this sphere. So therefore, here this dot product of this E and the ds can be simply written as the multiplication. Because here, this theta is equal to 0 and therefore, this cos theta will become 1. Further, here this electric field E is independent of the geometry of the surface, so we can take it outside. That means now this integration is nothing but the area of this sphere, and we know that that is equal to 4 pi times r square. Moreover, if you see, then from the origin, any point on the sphere is at the equal distance of the r. That means this distance is equal to r. So we can say that at any point in the sphere, this electric field E can be given as this q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught times r square. And like I said, the surface area of this sphere is equal to 4 pi times r square. So here, these two terms will get cancelled out and eventually this psi can be given as this q divided by epsilon naught. That means here, the total flux that is passing through the closed surface area is equal to the charge that is enclosed by the surface area divided by the epsilon naught. And in general, this expression is true for the any surface area. That means instead of the sphere, if we have any type of closed surface area, then for that also, the psi can be given by the same expression. Now here, instead of the one free charge, suppose we have a multiple free charges that is enclosed by this closed surface area, then in that case, the total flux that is coming out of this closed surface area can be given as this q enclosed divided by the epsilon naught, where this q enclosed is the total charge that is enclosed by this closed surface area. And in this case, if you see, then that is equal to q1 plus q2 minus q3. So now let us see the another case where we have the same charge q1, q2 and q3, but none of them is enclosed by this closed surface area. So in this case, if we see the total flux that is passing through the closed surface area, then that will be equal to 0. So we can say that we will have the flux that is passing through the closed surface area only when these free charges are enclosed by the closed surface area. And this flux can be given by the following expression, where this q enclosed is the summation of the total charge that is enclosed by the closed surface area. And this is known as the Gauss law. So as per this Gauss law, the total electric flux that is passing through the closed surface area is equal to the charge that is enclosed by the closed surface area divided by the epsilon naught. And mathematically, the same thing can be represented like this. So this expression is the expression of the Gauss law in the integral form. So from this, let us derive the same Gauss law in the differential form. So we know that when we have the closed surface area, then basically it represents the volume, right? So in this case, by this volume, the total charge that is enclosed is equal to Q, or in general, that is equal to Q enclosed. Now for a moment, let's say, instead of having the discrete charge Q, this charge is distributed over the entire volume. So in this case, we will have the continuous charge distribution. And in that case, let's say the volume charge density is equal to rho v. So now, if we integrate this volume charge density over the entire volume, then we will get the same charge Q enclosed. So in that case, this Q enclosed can be written by the following expression. Now if you have followed the earlier videos on the channel, then we have already discussed the divergence theorem, right? And as per that, we can say that this integration of E dot ds is equal to the volume integration of del dot E times dv. So from this, we can say that this psi is equal to the surface integration of this E dot ds, and that is equal to the volume integration of del dot E times dv, and that will be equal to this q enclosed divided by epsilon naught. And as we have seen, this q divided by epsilon naught can be further written like this. So now, if you see this expression, then here we can compare these two terms, right? Because if you see over here, then both the terms represents the volume integration. So if we compare these two terms, then we can say that this del dot E is equal to this rho v divided by epsilon naught. So the earlier expression is the Gauss law in the integral form, while this expression is the Gauss law in the differential form. And here, basically we have derived the expression of the Gauss law using the Coulomb's law. For example, if you recall, then for this spherical surface, we have seen that these electric field lines are normal to the differential surface area. So therefore, this dot product will become multiplication. And then, if we take this E outside, then we will only have the surface integration. So for the sphere, that is equal to 4 pi times r square. And then, if you put the value of the electric field intensity at the distance r, then we will get the q divided by epsilon naught. Because at the distance of r, the value of this electric field intensity is equal to this q divided by 4 pi epsilon naught times r square. So basically, that expression came from the Coulomb's law. And with the help of it, we got this expression. So we can say that using the Coulomb's law, we got the expression of the Gauss law. And the reverse is also true. That means using the Gauss law expression, we can also find the expression of the Coulomb's law. So here, if you see the expression of the Gauss law, then it is written in the form of the electric field. And as you know, this electric field is the medium dependent. So now so far during our discussion, we have assumed that our medium was the vacuum and these free charges were placed in the free space. But now let us see how things will change when we put the same charge inside some medium. So let's say the same charge is now inside the dielectric medium. So inside the dielectric medium, when we apply the electric field, then it induces the polarization. And due to this polarization, it creates the bound charges. So due to these bound charges, this effective electric field inside the medium will reduce. That means in this dielectric medium, suppose we put some free charge, then the electric field due to this free charge that is observed at any point in the dielectric medium will be lesser than the free space. That means suppose we put the same free charge in the vacuum or in the free space, then the electric field that is observed at some point r will be more than the same in the dielectric medium. So we can say that in the dielectric medium, due to these bound charges, the effective electric field reduces. So in such medium, if we see the Gauss law, then the electric flux that is passing through the closed surface area can be given by the following expression. That means here, we will have the contribution due to the free charges as well as the bound charges. So for a moment, just assume that in the dielectric medium we have the bound charges, but later on during our discussion, we will see the concept of the polarization and we will also understand the concept of this bound charge. But for a moment, just assume that in the dielectric medium, when the electric field is applied, then we have both free charges as well as the bound charges. So here, this free charge is the controllable because we are putting it inside the medium, right? But if you see the amount of the bound charge, then that is unknown. But suppose if we know the dielectric constant of the material, or in other words, if we know the relative permittivity of the material, then the same expression can be simply written in the form of the free charges. So basically, this expression is also derived from the first expression. But this expression is in the more understandable form. Because in this expression, here we are only dealing with these free charges. So to make this Gauss law expression independent of the medium, where we do not have the terms like the epsilon naught and the epsilon r, the same expression is written using the electric flux density, which is sometimes also known as the electric displacement field. So first, let us see what is this electric flux density, and then we will see that how to write the Gauss law in the form of this electric flux density. So as its name suggests, it is the electric flux that is passing through the unit area, or basically it is the electric flux per unit area. So in the free space, this is the relationship between the D and the E. That means the D is equal to epsilon naught times E. And for any other medium, it can be given by the following expression. That means here, we will also have the relative permittivity of the material. And if we see its unit, then that is equal to coulomb per meter square. So why it has this unit, it will get clear to you very shortly. But now, in the Gauss law expression, let us replace this E with the D. So we know that this D is equal to this E divided by epsilon naught. So therefore, the same expression can be written like this. So here, both epsilon naught will get cancelled out and we will have this integration of this d dot ds that is equal to q enclosed. Now here if you see, then the unit of this q is equal to coulomb. And whenever we divide it with the unit of the area, then we will get the unit of the d. So we can say that the unit of the d is equal to coulomb per meter square. So here, this expression is the expression of the Gauss law in the integral form. Similarly, we also know the Gauss law in the differential form. So that is equal to del dot E, that is equal to rho v divided by epsilon naught. So now in this expression, if we replace the E with the D, then we will have this del dot D divided by epsilon naught, that is equal to this rho v divided by epsilon naught. So in that case, this epsilon naught will get cancelled out and we will have this del dot D that is equal to rho v. So this is the expression of the Gauss law in the differential form. So in this way, we got the expression of the Gauss law in terms of the electric flux density. So here, if we see this electric flux density, then it only represents the electric field lines that is arising due to the free charges. And as you can see, it is independent of the medium. And that is why many times this Gauss law is represented in terms of this D field. So now, if you see this Gauss law, then it provides the easy way of finding the electric field due to the charge, which has the symmetrical charge distribution. For example, if we take the case of the point charge, then it has the spherical symmetry. Similarly, if we take the case of the line charge, then it has the cylindrical or the axial symmetry. And likewise, if we take the case of the infinite sheet of charge, then it has the planar symmetry or the rectangular symmetry. So for such charge distribution, using the Gauss law, we can easily find the electric field at the any location. So in the next video, we will see the applications of this Gauss law and we will see that using that, how we can easily find the electric field for the charge distributions which possesses the symmetry. But I hope in this video, you understood the concept of the Gauss law and you also understood the concept of the electric flux density. So if you have any question or suggestion, then do let me know here in the comment section below. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe the channel for more such videos.